Thanks for visiting CSC Movie Recaps. I Am a Hero, a 2015 zombie horror film, will be shown to you today. The 35-year-old novelist Hideo is introduced at the start of the movie. He hopes to one day become a well-known and successful comic book author. His current low-paying employment has prevented him from achieving his aspirations for a number of years. He has been living with his best friend, who begins to feel uneasy and worried, as Hideo is unable to land a good job. His shotgun was Hideo's most expensive, cherished, and beloved possession. After an argument, his friend helps him leave her flat one day. At the same time, breaking news on a virus spreading throughout the entire city is being broadcast on the TV news channel. The infected are biting both humans and animals. It is suggested that they stay at home and survive. After being expelled from the house, Hideo had nowhere to go. That is the reason he spends the night on the street and then goes to work the next day. There are 5 employees working at his office. Due to the worrying situation, they spend the following night at work. He receives a call from his girlfriend at the same moment. She apologizes and extends an invitation for him to return to the flat. Hideo intends to return the next morning and deliver breakfast to his girlfriend's house. He bangs on the door repeatedly but gets no response. He becomes curious as a result and peeks through the mail slit in the door. He witnessed an extraordinary sight. He observed his girlfriend stumbling and magically standing up. As she approached the door, she was crawling. Her face was visible when she got close. It was terrifying and dreadful. She opens the door and tries to attack Hideo. Hideo manages to push her back into the apartment after a fierce struggle. She is now tough enough to use her foot to cling to the door, nevertheless. When Hideo drags a door between them, he is yelling at her and attempting to bite him. She makes another effort to bite Hideo, but instead bites the door. Her teeth are damaged one by one as a result of the power with which she bites down on the wooden door. Hideo is shocked after seeing all of this. He is unable to comprehend what has happened to her. Hideo's girlfriend kept blaming him for ruining her life. Hideo is dragged inside by her as she savagely assaults him once again. He pushes her back and she tries to bite him again. She stumbles and dies on a pointy ornament resembling an award. Hideo exits the residence and makes his way to his workplace. He notices his co-worker watching the news as soon as he walks into the workplace. His clothes are stained with blood. His supervisor walks into the room at the same time. He seemed to be really upset. He has a knife stab wound in his chest, and his eyes are strange. He was still asking them if they had finished their assignment despite that. Hideo's co-worker hits the boss somewhat successfully. He hits him multiple times, killing him. The boss collapses. The cause, according to Hideo's co-worker, is a virus that is rapidly spreading and getting viral. If the infected bit us and it will turn us into a zombie, he continues, then we would become like them. Hideo is reminded of the time his girlfriend tried to bite him. All of her teeth fell out during the encounter, so when he checks his hand, no bite mark is found. Meanwhile, his male co-worker starts to change as well. His eyes start to change. He started to appear odd. Hideo was shocked when he realized his predicament and was unsure of how to react. Yet his friend was aware of what was happening. He killed himself when he learned he became infected and quickly transformed into a zombie. Blood was all over the place. Hideo attempts to leave the area but runs into his infected female co-worker. Her appearance has completely altered. She appeared to be possessed by someone. When he exits the workplace, he discovers a world filled with zombies. He takes a nearby car, then makes an attempt to flee. A girl walks over to him at the same time asking for assistance. As Hideo realizes he is using his imagination rather than a real gun and that the zombie is not there, he pulls out his revolver to help the girl. Only in his mind does he see it. The survivors all get in a car and drive off. They are listening to the news, which reports that the infection is spreading quickly throughout the city. It is yet unknown what caused the virus and why it is spreading so quickly. They discover that one of the survivors in the car with them is also infected as they hear the news. His mouth starts to bleed. He asks the driver if he has any tissues. He attacks Hideo and bites the driver as he passes him the tissue. In self-defense, Hideo throws him out of the car, but he drags Hideo along and hangs onto his leg the entire while. Hideo manages to push him along the highway with the help of the female survivor. The driver starts acting upset after contracting the infection. He claims that he has never in his life broken any laws. They start driving quickly, colliding with many other vehicles in the process. In doing so, he is fatally injured by a car and perishes. The survivors eventually regain consciousness. They exit the vehicle and observe that the collision has generated a backup in traffic. They start researching the virus online and learn that it affects people, changing their habits and outward appearance. The infected also favor living out their lives in the past. They become mired in a monotonous routine with little variety. The virus will completely alter their outlook and figure, giving them greater strength. They discover a glimmer of light in this grim situation when they learn that the virus cannot survive or can be treated on high altitudes or climbs. From a distance, they can make out a mountain. They begin moving in the direction of the mountain. It eventually gets dark, and they spend the night somewhere. Hiromi was the name of the girl. The two introduced themselves as Hideo and Hiromi. When she was with Hideo, Hiromi felt safe. The next morning, Hideo notices a rapidly rotating bite mark on Hiromi's neck. As he stands up, Hideo points a revolver at her. She explains to him that a young child who bit her had not been infected through biting, but rather by nursing. Hideo is adamant about not killing her because he believes that once they get to the mountain, she will be healed. He assures her that he will always be there to help, defend, and be with her. The two keep moving in the direction of the mountain. While ascending, Hiromi starts to become weak. She began shouting loudly out of the blue as one of her eyes changed into a zombie's eye. Hideo flees the area after becoming alarmed. When he comes across a man who requests assistance, he runs frantically. It turns out that the man is also a zombie. When Hiromi kills the zombie and saves Hideo, the attacker attacks the latter and nearly kills him. This demonstrates how Hiromi was battling the infection she was carrying. She was tainted, yet she didn't turn into a zombie. Hiromi was getting more agitated and hostile as they continued to be in the woods. They eventually arrive at a retail center. The commercial center's dilapidated state is evidence that zombies have surrounding it. Hideo places Hiromi inside a shopping cart while they go deliberately. When a zombie salesman approaches them in a mall and inquires about their needs, they enter that particular store. He goes straight for Hideo. This time, a nurse intervenes to save Hideo. She was one of the survivors who fled to the terrace when the zombies were unable to get there. When they had to walk downstairs to obtain weapons, they would tinkle the pots to distract the zombies. Hideo and Hiromi are permitted to remain by the group's leader. In addition, he feeds them. Later, the leader observed Hideo's shotgun as he and the group were conversing. Hideo is asked about Hiromi by the nurse. He found her frightened and picked her somewhere along the way, according to Hideo. She was critically ill when he brought her here. He wanted to save her, so he took her here. She reveals to him that she was a nurse and that he had come to save a girl's life. She praises his efforts and him. As the meal was about to end, the group's leader called a meeting for all the men. The men were required to fetch food from the basement. The leader wanted to use Hideo's gun so he can impress and influence the group, but Hideo resists because the weapon has sentimental meaning to him. Because of this, the group members drag Hiromi from her tent and kick her out. They make murderous threats against her. With a gun pointed at them, Hideo tries to protect her. In the same instant, Hiromi regains her composure. When she sees that she is being pursued by two men, she kills them both brutally. The tape covering her eye gets taken off during this struggle, and as a result, everyone is aware that she is infected. Hiromi collapses when the group leader shoots her with an arrow. After that, Hideo's gun was also taken. Following this incident, the group rebels and expresses its ire at the leader. Currently, they had taken Hideo's rifle for themselves. After examining Hiromi, the nurse informs Hideo that she is still alive. Hideo is encouraged to accompany the group as they transport the meal. The nurse assures Hideo that Hiromi will be well taken care of. Gradually, the boys descend the steps. Up till now, they had not come across any zombies. They begin acquiring food. The group's commander broke off because he intended to exact revenge on them. He uses the floor-standing speakers to blast loud music in an effort to draw the zombies. The zombies all start moving in the direction of the tune. They attack the gang as soon as they enter the hall. Hideo hides in a cabinet after noticing that. While listening to the song, there was a zombie acting strangely. He appeared to be growing stronger as he listened to the music. He was inspired by the music. Surprisingly, he leaps and lands on the terrace, where other survivors were present. Most of them are infected by him. Hiromi and the nurse hide in a nook. She attempts to contact the men using a walkie-talkie. She cries out for help. The nurse shouts for aid, and Hideo finds the other walkie-talkie. "I'm Hideo, and I'm still alive," he responds. Hiromi is brought downstairs by the nurse. She encounters the infected group leader en route. He attacks her. Hideo is being bitten by a zombie, but his watch stops the bite before it may be too late. Several survivors have reached their goal. Hideo regains control of his weapon. Hideo eventually approaches the nurse. He spots a zombie approaching the nurse from behind and fires his weapon at it. He is currently facing another survivor. They try to flee for their lives but are surrounded by zombies. They had no escape path. Hideo starts blasting zombies with his shotgun to create a way out. He utilizes his shotgun to kill numerous zombies. The other survivors, on the other hand, keep up their fight against the zombies. The zombie population was larger and stronger. Nevertheless, the survivors continued their valiant resistance and refused to give up. The survivors and undead are fighting hysterically. When all the zombies are killed, the survivors are ecstatic. 3 of them then materialize, get into a car, and head to the mountain in order to save Hiromi's life.